On October 28, 2022, 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson boarded a flight to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, with 6 friends, leaving their hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. Her friends Khalil Cook, Malik St. Dyer, Winter Essence Donovan, Elise Michelle Hyatt, Dejane Jackson, and Nazir Wiggins would all make the return trip within a couple of days. Shanquella would not. As a successful businesswoman and a social media personality, Shanquella happily shared her bounty with her friends, covering the steep nightly rental of $1,500 at the Villa Linda 32 in Puerto Los Cabos. At first, everything seemed to be going well, and she cheerily phoned her mother, Salamandra, on their first night. Sadly, within 24 hours, things had taken a turn for the worse. Around 2 p.m. on October 29th, Salamandra received a call from Khalil Cook, one of the travel companions and a longtime friend of her daughter's. He informed her that Shanquella was ill and a doctor had been called. Shortly after 3 p.m., Dr. Gutierrez from the local American Medical Center arrived at the residence. In later police reports, the doctor noted that upon entering the villa, the residents informed her that Shanquella had had too much to drink. She observed that the young woman was dehydrated, disoriented, and verbally unresponsive, and advised that Shanquella be taken to the hospital. However, the other travelers insisted on treating her on site. Reluctantly, Dr. Gutierrez agreed to their request. Around 4:20 p.m., Shanquella suffered a seizure. As her pulse began to drop, she had trouble breathing, and paramedics were called to the villa. Roughly 30 minutes later, an ambulance arrived, but she was already going into cardiac arrest. After receiving 14 rounds of CPR, 5 shots of adrenaline, and 6 pulses with a defibrillator, attempts to resuscitate Shanquella failed, and she was sadly pronounced dead at 5:57 p.m. Police were dispatched to the residence immediately after her passing, and a report was filed indicating that Shanquella was uninjured, with authorities chalking her demise up to alcohol poisoning. The friends cut their visit to Mexico short and returned to their homes in the United States the following day, leaving Shanquella's body behind in Cabo. Initially, they told her parents that Shanquella had died from consuming too much alcohol, but soon, differing details in their tales emerged, and rumors of a violent fight between the travelers began to spread. Adding to the confusion, a week or so after her death, Mexican authorities released an autopsy report that contradicted the original police findings. In the documents, which were translated into English, it was noted that Shanquella's cause of death was a broken neck. In another frightful twist for her family, on November 15th, a horrifying video began to circulate on social media that showed Dejane Jackson violently attacking Shanquella in the villa. In the 20-second clip, Shanquella is ruthlessly pursued around a bedroom by the other woman, as 2 additional travel companions look on and film, with one remarking, "Quella, can you at least fight back?" A second autopsy conducted in the United States found no evidence of a broken neck. They did, however, note that she suffered a brain injury. No alcohol was present in her blood at the time of death, but she did consume a heavy amount of alcohol the night before. Scratches and bruises were present on her body, and vomit was found in her throat. Her cause of death was ruled as inconclusive. On November 23rd, Daniel de la Rosa Anaya, the Attorney General of Baja California, issued an arrest warrant for Dejane Jackson and initiated the process to have her formally extradited to Mexico. Sadly, on April 12, 2023, the United States announced that it would not be pursuing any criminal charges in the death of Shanquella Robinson, citing a lack of evidence. At the time of recording, it is unclear if Mexico is still seeking extradition for Dejane Jackson. Naturally, her family and social media have bubbled over with outrage, sharply questioning if Shanquella's race is a deciding factor in how far American and Mexican authorities are willing to go to solve her murder.
Black women want to know on the birthday of Malcolm X, who famously said that the black woman is the most neglected, the most disrespected, and the most unprotected person in America, that this administration would do everything in their power to move us from Malcolm X's quote almost 65 years ago and show that we are a better America.
Her family continues to fight for her and plans to sue all 6 of her travel companions for impeding the investigation into her death. As the family's lawyer noted, "My message to the travel mates is that, the arc of the universe is long, but it always bends towards justice. We truly wish the Robinson family the best in their quest for answers." During the week of November 21, 2022, children in the small town of Cornelius, North Carolina, were eagerly anticipating some time off for the upcoming Thanksgiving break. However, as the students returned to school, the staff at Bailey Middle School noticed that one of their 6th graders, Madalina Cojocari, was absent. On Monday, December 12th, 3 weeks after the 11-year-old was last seen getting off the school bus, 2 employees of the school arrived at the home on Victoria Bay Drive that Madalina shared with her mother, 37-year-old Dejane Cojocari, and her stepfather, 60-year-old Christopher Palmiter. There was no response, so they left a truancy packet at the door. 3 days later, Dejane appeared at the middle school and told them Madalina had been missing for weeks. The authorities were called, and they promptly arrested Dejane and Christopher for failing to report the disappearance. With the 2 in custody, an investigation was launched. Tips poured in. The Cojocari home was searched, neighbors were questioned, and nearby Lake Norman was dragged, but all to no avail. Still, there were some fishy occurrences. Firstly, police found a carpet pad but no carpet in Madalina's room. Secondly, a neighbor reported witnessing Dejane burning a couch and several other undisclosed items in the home's backyard on November 30th. There was no further movement in the case until May 2024. Both Dejane and Christopher were convicted of failing to report Madalina's disappearance, but were released with time served. However, Christopher's testimony offered some more insight into the family's life. Originally from Moldova, Dejane and Christopher's courtship began online. Ultimately, he proposed to her, and the pair married in January 2016, when Madalina and Dejane came to the United States. It was, according to Christopher, a loveless marriage. They never consummated their union, and only kissed on special occasions. As for his relationship with his stepdaughter, Christopher stated that he paid more attention to her than her mother, taking her on bike rides and walks through their neighborhood. He added further context for the burnt couch, noting that the family had many cats who relieved themselves anywhere in the home, and this led to soiled items that Dejane would burn. He also shared that since 2021, his wife had become intensely religious, staying up late at night, praying and chanting, and expressing fears that she was being stalked by famous figures like Vladimir Putin and Michael Jackson. He says that Dejane never told him where Madalina was, and he believes that she sent her away to her relatives in Moldova. He has since filed for divorce. On the other hand, a relative of Dejane's told local police that they spoke with Dejane 12 days after Madalina was last seen. Expressing a desire to divorce Christopher, she told the unnamed relation that her marriage was bad and she wanted to smuggle herself and her daughter away. Dejane, at her trial, offered no explanation on her daughter's location. For the duration of her time in the spotlight, she has remained opaque, never showing heightened emotions when confronted with the vanishing of her only child. She was released in May 2024 and initially returned to the family home on Victoria Bay Drive. However, Dejane only holds a green card that allows her to work in the United States. She is not a citizen, and many speculate that she will be deported. On June 25, 2024, the Cornelius Police Department named her as a suspect in her daughter's disappearance. And 2 weeks later, Dejane posted a picture on a plane with the caption, "On the way to New York JFK, to Frankfurt, then to Bucharest." It was initially believed Dejane could not leave the country since the authorities had her passport, but she could have been granted emergency documents. At the time of recording, authorities have neither confirmed or denied if Dejane has left the United States. Theories are rampant online, with some speculating the young girl was sold to traffickers by her stepfather, her mother, or both. Others believe Dejane killed her, or that Christopher killed her and she covered up the crime. No matter what happened, an innocent little girl has been missing for almost 2 years, and she deserves justice. At the time of her disappearance, Madalina was 4'10" and 90 pounds. She was white with brown hair and brown eyes, and would now be 13 years old. The Cornelius Police Department asks that you contact the number on the screen if you have any knowledge of her whereabouts. Around 11:30 p.m. on August 5, 2022, 16-year-old Kylie Rodney texted her mother to tell her she would be heading back home to Truckee, California within 45 minutes. The teen had spent the evening partying with a large group of friends at Prosner Family Campground, roughly 12 miles from her residence. However, she never made it home. The next morning, when there was no sign of Kylie or her silver Honda CR-V, she was reported missing. Both law enforcement and volunteers spent the next several weeks scouring the area, working their way through over 2,000 tips and spending over 20,000 hours trying to locate the young woman. Her phone last pinged at 12:30 a.m. on August 6th, near the Prosser Creek Reservoir, a large body of water adjacent to the site of the party. Finally, on August 21st, divers from Adventures with Purpose, a community-funded search and recovery dive team, located her vehicle upside down, 14 feet underwater and 55 feet from the shore. When the car was pulled up and searched, Kylie's remains were recovered in the back hatch of the vehicle. Multiple windows on the car were also rolled down. At first, this seemed highly suspicious, and members of the Adventures with Purpose team were vocal in their belief that foul play was involved in Kylie's demise. It was also deemed strange that she was found in an area that police had supposedly searched many times within the preceding weeks.
She's not in the driver's seat. It looks suspicious to me.
Yeah.
Vehicle's upside down. Some of the one window is halfway down. One window is all the way down. Whew. Call the authorities.
However, Tammy Waters, the founder of Team Waters Sonar Search and Recovery, told the Daily Mail 90% of vehicles found with people in it, they're normally found in the back. If it's an SUV, they're in the hatch. She explained further, noting that the car's heavy engine usually nosedives first, causing the occupants of the car to move backward in the vehicle as it sinks. They're chasing the air, she said. Furthermore, her autopsy showed no signs of foul play, and the pathologist ruled that her death was the result of drowning. The toxicology report showed ethanol and THC in Kylie's system, but ethanol can be present as a byproduct of decomposition, and not necessarily due to alcohol consumption. The formal consensus is that Kylie died because of a tragic accident, and nothing strange has ever been found to suggest that she had enemies or anyone who might want her dead. Nevertheless, there are some determined online sleuths who maintain that because she was found in the hatch, something darker befell the teenager that August night, and local authorities are covering it up. People have accused her friends of staging the scene, or that the entire case was a scam for the Rodney family to obtain money through the GoFundMe page set up during the hunt for their daughter. It is important to note that these are conspiracy theories with no basis in fact. As of May 2024, Kylie's father and grandfather have filed a libel case against one such internet personality. Popular YouTuber and podcaster Ryan Upchurch has continued to post extensive theories about the nature of her death, even going so far as to claim that Kylie Rodney isn't a real person, and allegedly doxing her father online.
There ain't no information saying this person is real. Zero.
The court has allowed the libel claim to move forward, but the outcome is unknown at the time of recording. No matter what happened to Kylie that night, we offer our deepest condolences to the Rodney family. For 17-year-old Alyssa Tyney, May 17, 2001 was the last day of junior year at Paradise Valley High School in Phoenix, Arizona. The morning started normally, with Alyssa's adopted father, Michael, dropping her off at school. However, he deviated from their normal routine when he picked her up early for lunch. At this time, according to him, an argument broke out between them. Alyssa wanted more freedom. When he left to pick up his younger daughter, Sarah, Alyssa allegedly left the family home without her purse or cell phone, leaving behind a cryptic handwritten note that mentioned running away to California. The Tyney family was a blended one with 6 children. When Alyssa was 3, her mother Barbara married Michael Tyney. Sarah, the youngest of the Tyney brood, was born shortly after their wedding. Michael formally adopted both Alyssa and her brother, and when Barbara passed away from cancer 6 years later, Michael became their sole parent. By 2001, the 4 older children were no longer in the home. When Alyssa disappeared, Sarah recalled her sister's room being uncharacteristically messy, with her belongings scattered about. Michael filed a missing persons report for her that day and expressed concern, but no foul play was suspected, so no serious investigation was launched. The case languished for years, with no sign of Alyssa, though Michael claimed that about a week after she vanished, he received a 5 a.m. call from a California number. He said the voice was Alyssa's, and that she cussed him out and then told him to leave her alone. Strangely, though, the $1,800 in her bank account remained untouched. Authorities searched the Tyney home, and multiple surveillance cameras and voice recorders were recovered that had years' worth of footage. In the tapes, Michael can be heard speaking disparagingly of Alyssa, but footage from the days surrounding her disappearance is missing. Additionally, it was discovered that Michael used to spy on his daughter when she went to her job at the local Jack in the Box fast food restaurant. He used binoculars to watch her, showed up hours before her shift ended to ensure that she hadn't left with anyone, and filmed her while she worked the drive-thru. In 2008, the case was reinvigorated when Sarah informed police that she believed her father was guilty. She is not alone in her suspicions. James Tyney, one of his sons, has also accused him. On December 8, 2008, Phoenix police arrived at his residence intending to collect his DNA, but they stumbled upon more than they bargained for. The home was filled with over 20 explosive devices, 19 assorted firearms, 2 homemade silencers, and a van full of gasoline. In addition to the dangerous weapons, authorities uncovered a rambling manifesto entitled Diary of a Madman Martyr. Within the pages, Michael outlined his plot to blow up a local union hall because he believed 2 assassins had killed Alyssa. Michael claimed the murderers were acting on orders from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, a large union for electricians, so he planned to attack their Phoenix location in retaliation. He was swiftly arrested and charged and served 7 years in prison, regaining his freedom in August 2017. Alyssa has remained in the public eye over the last 2 decades thanks to Sarah's tireless dedication, and her case has been the subject of numerous true crime shows and podcasts, with millions online speculating on her whereabouts. A break in the case came in August 2020 when Michael was arrested in Mesa, Arizona, and the Maricopa County grand jury charged him with the second-degree murder of Alyssa. Unfortunately, in July 2023, all charges against Michael were dismissed, citing a lack of substantial evidence to support a conviction. Both the Phoenix Police Department and the Maricopa County Attorney's Office strongly disagree with the judge's decision.
Your attorney said you were concerned about the case. Are you going to keep searching for Alyssa?
I'll never stop looking for my daughter.
Now, Michael Tyney is in his 70s and continues to stridently assert his innocence. Thanks to double jeopardy, he cannot be retried for the murder of his daughter, and the best option remaining for Sarah and the other Tyney family members who support her is to turn to the civil courts and file a wrongful death suit. Sarah mentioned to True Crime Arizona that local police consider her sister's case solved but not resolved.
So the prosecution does a terrible job. And the defense gets this very rare acquittal granted, and my father is a free man. So after a lifelong, and my dad's, what is he now, in his late 70s, he's almost 80, he spent his entire life terrorizing specifically women, and I'll just leave it at that. He's now a free man.
Tragically, we may never know the complete truth of what happened to Alyssa Tyney, but there is always hope. If you know anything about the case, we encourage you to contact the Phoenix Police Department at the number on the screen. On September 11, 2014, 3-year-old William Terell, his 5-year-old sister, and their foster parents packed up the car and drove to their foster grandmother's home in Kendal, Australia. This was a 4-hour journey north along the coast from their home in Sydney. Little William was never seen again. For legal reasons, the names of William's foster parents and grandmother remain anonymous, so for this video, we will refer to his foster mother as Jean, his foster father as Greg, and his foster grandmother as Gloria. The next morning, Greg left Gloria's home around 9 a.m. to make a conference call in the nearby city of Lakewood. William, dressed in a Spider-Man costume, played on the porch with his sister, while Jean and Gloria looked on. The final photos of William snapped by Jean at 9:37 a.m. show this scene. Shortly after, the children went to the yard to play hide and seek. This continued for about 30 minutes, but when William fell silent for 5 minutes, Jean went to look for him. Searching the house and surrounding property yielded no results. Greg returned at 10:33 a.m. and began knocking on doors and talking to neighbors, but there was no sign of William. At 10:56 a.m., Jean called 000, the Australian Emergency Services line, and reported William missing. New South Wales Police Force responded promptly, arriving at Gloria's residence on Benaroon Drive within 10 minutes. Days of searching stretched into weeks that became months and ultimately years. Hundreds of police, emergency service personnel, and volunteers looked tirelessly for the missing toddler, both day and night. Dive teams, motorcycles, helicopters, and sniffer dogs were all deployed, but there seemed to be no trail of him beyond the Benaroon Drive property. Jean did not recall seeing anyone suspicious around Gloria's home, but she did discuss 2 unfamiliar vehicles parked on the dead-end road that morning. The car's descriptions were not recognized by anyone within the neighborhood, and Jean was the only one who saw them. One promising lead came from neighbor Ron Chapman. Around 10:45 a.m., he recalled seeing an old, box-type four-wheel drive car. He said the driver was a blonde woman in her 20s or 30s, and a young boy, dressed in a Spider-Man costume, was unsecured in the back seat. Unfortunately, nothing ever came from this tip. Originally, most thought William was the victim of an opportunity stranger kidnapping, which, though rare, is possible. To date, at least 3 men have been named persons of interest in the case due to their potential proximity and previous offenses against minors, but none have been arrested. The whereabouts of William's biological parents, though unknown to the public, have been accounted for, and they are not considered people of interest. New South Wales PD has continued to search for William, organizing ground searches in the bushland surrounding Kendall. In 2021, Detective Chief Superintendent Darren Bennett told ABC News, "It's highly likely that if we found something, it would be a body. We are looking for the remains of William Terell, no doubt about that." A formal inquest into his disappearance began in 2019, but was paused in 2020, and has since been delayed. Between 2020 and 21, authorities covertly recorded Jean and Greg in their home and vehicles, hoping to uncover more information about William. While this didn't appear to move the case forward, it showed that the foster parents were potentially mistreating their other wards. During the summer of 2023, New South Wales detectives recommended that charges be filed against Jean. They believed the young boy may have accidentally died in her care and that she hid his remains. In 2024, the couple faced a host of charges for varied domestic violence allegations against other children in their care, including intimidation and assault. In the end, the bulk of these were dismissed, but both were found guilty of intimidating a child. At the time of recording, they have not yet been sentenced. The long-delayed inquest is scheduled to have its concluding sessions in November and December of 2024, and many hope that the truth is close at hand. For now, Gloria is deceased, and Jean and Greg maintain their innocence. William Terell would now be 13 years old, and was last seen wearing a distinctive Spider-Man costume. If you have any information regarding his whereabouts, please contact New South Wales Crime Stoppers at the number on the screen. Although unsolved cases can be frustrating, we hope to raise awareness and increase their chances of a resolution. Do you have any theories you'd like to share about today's mysteries, or any other cases you think we should take a look at? Give us a follow so you don't miss the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.